Doug, are we good to go?
I see that we're now up on YouTube, so we are good to go.
Okay, great. Welcome everybody to the City of Monona Plan Commission meeting Monday, January 11th, 2021. Could you please call the roll?
Chair Moore.
Here.
Alder Goforth.
Present.
Ms. Fallett.
Here.
Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Ms. Fox.
Here.
Mr. Holmberg.
Here.
Mr. Stein.
Here.
Mr. Holmquist is excused.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of November 23rd, 2020?
I'll second.
Great. We have a move and a second. Any corrections, additions, changes to the minutes from the 23rd? Chris.
Page 2, condition number 4, Doug. That should read final staff approval of CSM, which includes Veerbecker review. The way it's written right now says to coordinate with staff. It's a lot different to coordinate than it is to approve it. And with staff approval, that also brings in Dan Stefani. That's the way I made the motion.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other corrections, changes, additions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Minutes carry. Thank you. Minutes and motion carries. That takes us to appearances. So I want to again welcome everybody that's here. We really thank those of you that are here and those of you that have written in about really anything on tonight's agenda or anything that might concern the Plan Commission. We appreciate your interest. That's why we call it a public hearing. And we're really grateful that you're here. Before we call on those who may wish to speak tonight, I'd like Doug to give an accounting of those letters we've received, which as we always do, we would like to effectively read in. We're not going to read every individual letter. We're simply going to read a list of those individuals that have weighed in prior to tonight by writing us. And we want to get an accounting of that. And then I'll ask if there's anybody else here that hasn't already registered with Doug, or let us know that they want to speak during the appearance section. And then after that, we'll be calling people by name for those of you that have let us know that you want to speak. When it is your time to speak, we would ask that you keep your appearance to under 3 minutes, 3 minutes or under, so that we can fit everybody in. And just so you know, we're not rude. If you haven't done any appearances at a meeting before, know that during appearances, we are just intently listening and will not be responding to anything. So if you raise a question, we'll certainly we'll capture it in, and if it's something we can respond to when we get to the discussion portion of the meeting, we'll do that. But we don't want you to feel like we're just sitting like deer in headlights and kind of unresponsive. It's actually just the opposite of that. We're trying to be very attentive to everyone who speaks. So with that, I will turn it over to Doug to first give an accounting of those letters and inquiries that we've received prior to tonight's meeting. Doug?
Thank you, Chair Moore. So these, the names and the addresses that I'm about to read out are public comment that was received. These all pertain to case number 2-015-2020, the Devon self-storage application. These were all included in the meeting packet, which is on the city website for more detail. But again, I'm just going to read the names and how they registered as well. So I'll start it off. David Necto, the owner of Pure Hockey, registered against. Thomas Matthias of Cottonwood Financial, which is the property at 2401 West Broadway, registered against. James Unick of 6106 Queensway, registered against. Kelly Slack, 5128 Winnequa Road, registered against. Greg Topoleski, 6206 Bridge Road, registered against. Peggy Ladwig, 407 Woody Lane, registered against. Valerie Burns of 5704 Cove Circle, registered against. Judy McNeil, 26 Winona Wood Court in Madison, registered against. Andrea Smetana, 607 Nichols Road, registered against. Danielle Woom, I think, W-E-U-M, of 901 Schultz Place, registered against. Christelle Guadot, with no address listed, registered against. Jane Raymond of 4001 Monona Drive, registered against. Beth Esser of 6009 Ridgewood Avenue, registered against. Chris Bondurant of 6209 Midwood Avenue, registered against. Angie Fiscus of 5514 Winnequa Road, registered against. John Kinsing of 4711 Midmore Road, registered against. Darlene Laufenberg, 403 Frostwoods Road, registered against. Jennifer Fluger, 6218 Bridge Road, registered against. Kevin Alexander of 4807 Wallace Avenue, registered against. Marsha Herman, 3837 Monona Drive, registered against. Ann Boland of 609 Nichols Road, registered against. Russell Fichter of 101 Furchland Place, registered against. Roy Boyd, 443 Falcon Circle, registered against. Aaron Quinn, 5507 Winnequa Trail, registered against. Heidi Dus, 4906 Schofield Street, registered against. James Holzel, no address given, registered against. Bree Chapper, 5407 Pheasant Hill Road, registered against. Nicholas Taylor, 5407 Flamingo Road, registered against. Jennifer Stofflet, 6010 Ridgewood Avenue, registered against. Steve Doran of Galway Companies, registered against. Scott Poley, 6010 Ridgewood Avenue, registered against. Denise Strom, the real estate portfolio manager for McDonald's LLC, registered against. Ken Roseth of WPS was neutral. Jennifer Controller of 6413 Westgate Road, registered against. Patrick DePula, 6101 Ridgewood Avenue, registered against. Former Mayor Rob Carl, registered against. Brett Riemann of Lakestone Properties, the owner of Southtown Office Park, registered against. And there was just one more, two more that just came in. Just let me pull those up. Chris Bondurant of 6209 Midwood Avenue, registered against. And one more. It was Brett Riemann again, so that has already been mentioned. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. Now, is there anybody here that wishes to speak, wishes to make an appearance tonight who has not yet identified themselves to Doug to be called on? If so, go ahead and speak up and give us your name. Okay. That being the case, Doug, do you want to go ahead and I assume that there are some people that are here that are wishing to speak this evening?
I have only received a couple formal requests.
Okay.
There were a couple from Mr. David Israel, and there were a few that were listed that he said would be attending, with a few that would speak. So maybe it makes sense for Mr. Israel to begin with others to follow.
Okay. David, would you like to go ahead and start?
Thank you. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
and could you please identify yourself? And
David Israel. My office address is 3100 Dundee Road, Northbrook, Illinois. We own the Southtown Shopping Center from Planet Fitness to Hockey Giant, that building there that's in between Shopko's old building and Kohl's. We own the Chase Bank building. We own the West Marine building that's there as well, and we own the small strip center that's there. So I am opposed to having storage in a retail site. The site is basically on the back of the Beltway, which has 125,000 cars per day. Across the Beltway is a super Walmart. Kohl's is over there. This is a perfect retail site. We know, and I think the board knows, that Floor & Decor is interested in taking about 78,000 square feet of the 98,000 square feet on a 10-year deal. Floor & Decor is a stock exchange, stock traded company, public company. It has 130 stores around the country. They're very good credit, and half of their business is through contractors, and the other half of their business is through the public. If they went in there, they'd leave another 15 or 17,000 square feet to be leased, and my brokers have told me that we should be able to hopefully bring in another national retailer, that junior box space for 15 to 17,000 square feet. So we would plan that by beginning of 2022, Floor & Decor would like to be there early in 2022, and I believe that we would have a second tenant that would be interested in occupying the balance of the space. I think it is a perfect retail site. It's the largest shopping center in Monona, and again, right off the Beltway. My concern about having storage space next to me is that in approximately 2 to 3 years, I have the Hobby Lobby space lease comes up to renew. If Hobby Lobby leaves, there's a good chance that I will not be able to backfill 50,000 square feet with retail tenant being next to a storage area. So I think if you decide to bring in a storage use for the Shopko space, my belief is that that will just turn that whole area into storage, because I'm going to have to lease out that 50,000 square feet as well. And there's a good chance that if this goes storage, that I'll be coming in and saying, you know what, I want to do storage also. So if you're looking to take a retail center and making it into the storage area, I think you'll find out that that's where this thing will be heading. I do believe that, I don't know if Kohl's is on the phone or not, but I believe Kohl's, said last time they object to it. We object to it. A bunch of the tenants who are in the center have sent letters and objected to it. We just think this is a perfect retail location. And we think that, one way or another, this space will be leased. We understand we had the pandemic this year, which put a lot of guys behind the 8 ball for 6-8 months. But I can tell you, out of all of my shopping centers and all the national tenants I have, everybody's open and paying rent, and I have a bunch of centers in Wisconsin. So I'm thinking, my thoughts is that it'd be a huge mistake to make this a storage facility.
Okay.
So, there's no question it's a great retail site.
Okay. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. Next, Doug.
We had a couple representatives from CBRE, either Peter Glazer or Sandy Golden. Are they on the line? I think both are.
Sandy, you're muted. Still muted. There you go.
Hi, is that better?
That is.
Hi, I'm Sandy Golden. I am a Senior Vice President of CB Richard Ellis. I've been with the company 30 years, specializing in retail, primarily retail leasing. Before that, I owned a chain of women's apparel stores, so one in Madison, as a matter of fact. And I agree with David. I represent David in his leasing endeavors at the shopping center. And the message, the clear message that I hope that we can share with you today is that traffic count and co-tenancy hand in hand generate business, and tenants want that traffic and want that co-tenancy to help each other to be successful. And the storage company has indicated that they would only have 10 cars a day. That can't be good for McDonald's or any other food user that might be interested in this area. And it certainly is not conducive to healthy retail, not having the co-tenancy that you would ordinarily see in a shopping center. The other thing that's important too is someone had mentioned in the other meeting about Chick-fil-A, and that Chick-fil-A was one of those tenants that you were really looking to attract to Monona. There's a lot out in front. It's called Lot 1 on your package. And I can tell you that I represent Chick-fil-A in the state of Wisconsin. I'm involved in all the deals that they do here. And sitting in front of a storage facility would be of no interest to them. I couldn't even get them to look at the site. With a vibrant home improvement store and other retailers, they certainly would at least look. I can't guarantee that they would come here, but I can tell you that they would be, that the Monona market would be a market they'd be interested in. I hope that you understand that I'm not opposed to storage in a general sense, but if you want a retail shopping center, then you need retail co-tenancy. And what drives retail is their co-tenancy, the shared customer base and exchange of business from one to the other. So we're hoping that you will keep the shopping center retail. We have numerous tenants that actually have expressed some level of interest in this property. And we feel that we can be successful in regenerating this area, and that the neighborhood would be happy, and you, as representatives of the community, would be proud of the future of the shopping center in your community.
Thank you, Sandy. Janine, was there Janine wanting to say something too? Was that it, Doug?
Yeah, I would, am I muted?
No, you're not. You're
Hear me?
good.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to respond. I thought that Greg of Devon was going to do a little presentation first, but I'm happy to speak now.
Well, hang on one second. Is that Doug? Is that who you were anticipating?
So,
Who's also wanting to appear?
so Ms. Lansinger is the property owner, so that probably makes more sense once the applicant is presenting.
Okay, sorry, I grabbed the wrong name. Then who is the other person that was to appear?
We have Mr. Peter Glazer from CBRE as well. We're still working through Mr. Israel's email.
That wants to appear, you're saying?
I believe so, yes. I
Okay.
see him here on screen.
Okay.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
We can, yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Again, I'm Peter Glazer. I'm with CBRE. My office address is 777 East Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee. I'm a retail broker with CBRE, that's all I do. I've been in this business for the last 20 years. I've actively worked with retail property owners and retailers throughout Wisconsin and actively in Madison. It's my professional opinion that the former Shopko site is a strong retail location, as it has the following attributes that retailers look for. High traffic counts, 125,000 cars a day on the Beltline Highway and 23,000 cars a day on East Broadway. It has excellent visibility of the Beltline. The Shopko building shows well to the Beltline. Convenient access to and from the Beltline. It is the only main access point that really connects the east and west side the way it does. Yes, you can go through downtown, but that's really not convenient. Southtown's a well-established retail location and the largest shopping center in Monona, as David said, with over 260,000 square feet. The site has probably the best drive time demographics in Metro Madison. There are over 350,000 people living within a 20-minute drive and over 535,000 people within a 30-minute drive. This is pretty much the entire Dane County metro area is accessible to this location within 20 to 30 minutes. The former Shopko is the only large format retail site available in Monona right now. Monona is a key trade area in Madison. Madison's the second largest market in Wisconsin. It's the market that retailers go to first or second when they come into the state. It has the highest population growth, lowest unemployment, and highest average incomes in the state. Yes, retail is changing, but many retailers remain committed to their brick and mortar strategy, especially those that have mastered the concept of buy online and pick up in store. Some of these categories include grocery, furniture, off-price, craft, and home improvement, to name a few. Some retailers will continue to serve Madison from multiple locations, while others only want one location that is easily accessible to the entire metro area. In the age of omnichannel retailing, a site like Southtown with a central location, strong visibility, and easy access to a large population base will be highly sought after. Last fall, I toured the Madison market with one of my clients, Floor & Decor Outlets, who David mentioned. Floor & Decor is an 80,000 square foot best-in-class home improvement retailer with over 130 stores throughout the U.S. We toured 9 sites throughout the Madison metro area. They selected the Shopko in Monona as their top choice for what would be their one and only store in Madison and their second location in Wisconsin. A self-storage facility will do nothing to attract retailers and restaurants to this area. In fact, they will do the opposite. They do not generate the traffic that these users need from an anchor. Self-storage uses are typically found in industrial parks and dead malls with no hope. They are not a good reuse of a prime retail site in a thriving community. This property is a flagship location in your community and should represent the type of development you want Monona to be known for. This is a long-term decision that will impact your community for decades to come. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter.
Next up, we have Kayla Ningwal from Floor & Decor. I see they're on the line.
Okay,
I'm not,
Go ahead.
I'm not sure that Floor & Decor has anything to say besides what you can ask them, but I'm not sure that they're on the call, but I'm not sure that they want to speak. You can ask them if they want to.
You want to speak?
This is Kayla Ningwal with Floor & Decor.
Yes.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would just reiterate what Peter had said. We are a growing retailer. We are one of 2 big box retailers growing right now during this pandemic. And we would love to be in the Monona area. We have our team on for any questions you all have, but I think the prepared comments with David and Peter, I would just be repeating them.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else, Doug?
Next on that list was Alan Markovitz from Von Briesen.
He will not be he will not be making any statements. He's not on the call.
Okay, thank you.
And Philip Wong is on the call, but will not make any statements either.
Okay, thank you. So I think that exhausts that list. Next up, I have Brett Riemann, who would like to appear.
Right, Riemann? Brett, go ahead.
Good evening, Brett Riemann with Lakestone Properties. We own the Southtown Office Park adjacent to this site. We've owned Southtown Office Park since 2018. We do oppose the proposed self-storage location at Shopko for a few reasons, but we've invested a good amount of money in the park. We love the location in Monona. We think it's a great long-term location for us, and we look at holding the park long-term. We've made a lot of new spaces, modern finishes, redone a lot of the insides, and we're trying to attract new tenants, new office tenants to the area, as well as keep our existing tenants. And I've been in, like Peter and Sandy in retail brokerage, I've been in office brokerage for over 20 years. And I can tell you pretty easily that office tenants want walkability. They want, just like apartments and where people live now, they want to be able to walk to restaurants, to walk to retail, to go shopping. And they're not going to get that with self-storage. I feel that if they go in there, I'm going to have a much harder time keeping the good tenants that I have, as well as attracting any new ones to the area. So for those reasons, I just wanted to let you know that I think it would be a mistake putting them in there. I totally agree that this is a very a great retail site in the Dane County area, with the visibility, with the traffic counts, with patients. It sounds like people are interested already, which is great for that area, but it will get filled, and it will bring a lot of good traffic, people to the site, which we all need. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have nobody else on my list other than those representing the applicant directly.
Okay, great. Last call on appearances. Is anybody else here that wants to speak during the appearance section of tonight's meeting? Hearing none, then we'll go ahead and close the appearance section and move on to unfinished business. That would be 5A. We'll go to 5A, the public hearing on the request by Devon Self-Storage LLC for the approval of zoning permit for new use at 2101 West Broadway, case number 2-015-2020. Who would like to speak first?
Hi, good evening. This is Dan O'Callahan.
Great,
I'm
Dan.
here representing Devon Self-Storage.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And thank you very much, Chairwoman Moore. Again, my name is Dan O'Callahan. I'm a land use attorney here in Dane County. I represent Devon Self-Storage. And it's my privilege tonight to be presenting this application to you. We appeared about a month ago at a preliminary meeting with the Plan Commission and received some very valuable feedback. We've got our team here again tonight to go over the project in greater detail. I see my internet connection is a little glitchy right now. I'm going to turn my camera off to see if that improves things. My apologies. We just in summary, we believe that we've got an attractive, high quality project that's going to bring a needed service to Monona. It's going to meet all the technical requirements of the city's ordinances. It's going to have a positive impact on the city's tax base. So we're excited to share that with you tonight. We know there are a number of residents and others in the community that have submitted comments expressing a desire for a different type of use at this location. And we will be sure that we address those comments during our presentation tonight. Speaking of which, we know you've got a full agenda, so we'll do our best to stay organized and be respectful of your time. And as far as our presentation is concerned, we've got 4 speakers lined up tonight, starting with Janine Lanzinger, who is the property owner here. She's going to share an overview of the property and some brief history with you, to be followed by Jenny Lazak, who's a commercial real estate broker with Key Commercial Real Estate. Jenny's been responsible for listing this site for the last several years and has led to this proposal coming before you tonight. Then the bulk of the presentation is going to be handled by Greg Mcgee, who is Devon's Senior Vice President of Acquisitions. Greg has several slides that he'll share with the Plan Commission and others attending the meeting tonight. He's going to talk about the need for this type of service in the market, discuss the positive property tax implications of the project, and talk about some of the potential for bringing other retail traffic to the shopping center with some of the outlot development that's possible here. And finally, Kevin Yeska, who's a project consultant and landscape architect with JSD Professional Services, is here with us tonight. Kevin and his team worked on the site plan and the landscape plan. They can talk in more detail about that and discuss any technical requirements. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Janine.
Thanks, Dan, and thanks everybody for the chance to speak on this tonight. A little bit of background. I purchased the Shopco property back in 2015. We believed in the location in the city of Monona, and also Shopco was, as you all know, literally a Midwestern institution. Unfortunately, that's all changed. Shopco's history and retail in general is struggling to survive, especially, as everyone knows, big box. Since Shopco closed, my carrying costs have been substantial. I've been leaving no stone unturned, trying to find a replacement tenant or a purchaser. Contrary to what you've just heard, we've had absolutely no interest. Zero. My real estate agent, Jenny, is here, Jenny Lysak from Key Commercial, and she will speak to some of that, some of the marketing efforts and some of the responses that we've gotten or not gotten shortly. Basically, I'd like nothing better to put in a retailer there. It is absolutely not in the cards. The only even close offer that we've had has been from Floor & Decor, and Floor & Decor was a non-binding letter of intent, and for a number of reasons, it was just not financially viable. I'm losing money hand over fist as it is. If Floor & Decor takes it, if I was to rent a Floor & Decor, it would be even worse. Floor & Decor, among other things, they wanted me to subdivide and upgrade the space to the tune of about anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million. They wanted a major reduction in rent to the tune that I wouldn't even break even for at least 7 years, maybe longer. Plus, I don't think it's been clear with the prior comments that they didn't want all of the space. They only wanted a portion of it. And the way they wanted it demised, it would have left 20,000 feet of a long, skinny piece of unusable, unleasable space that would just sit vacant for God knows how long. Bottom line, even with my carrying costs, it just didn't pencil. I'd be losing more money renting to Floor & Decor than simply leaving it vacant. So it just doesn't make financial sense. That's the only alternative that we had. Again, Jenny can speak more to this, but we just have had no financially realistic options. The choice is basically between an active use, Devon self-storage, which is not a U-Haul. It's not a bunch of rusting, ill-maintained equipment sitting in a lot. It's a high-end storage that would bring customers into the mall. It would beautify the property significantly with new paving and upgrades, landscaping, good maintenance and security. And let's not forget that it would be an ongoing business, as Dan said, that would contribute to the Monona tax base. And most importantly, I think the potential development of the outlots would provide potential for small businesses, maybe not Chick-fil-A, okay, but plenty of others that might want to be in there. The outlots have been approved twice by the Planning Commission of Monona, which clearly saw the benefit to the development of that. That would go hand in hand with the self-storage, and I'm sure Greg will talk a little bit more about that shortly. So basically, the choice is between an active business that would be paying taxes and bringing people in, maybe not as much as a Shopco, but still it would be bringing customers into the mall. The alternative is we continue to look at a big empty fenced off big box store for another 1.5 years or possibly much, much longer. It doesn't make sense to me. And I think that we can all agree that a big vacant big box is not going to drive any customers into the mall, whereas a self-storage facility with the accompanying outlaw developments at least would bring people in. So that's the choice. Thanks for listening. I'll turn it over to Jenny now if people, and she can discuss the marketing efforts that have been made.
Thank you, Janine. Jenny?
Thank you. My name is Jenny Lysak. I'm a principal at Key Commercial Real Estate in Madison. I've represented Janine with listing the property. Basically, we put it on the market in early 2019. So we were ahead of the game as far as when the pandemic hit. We came up with a comprehensive marketing plan, really just focused on getting another retailer in there. We knew that the city wanted retail. We knew that the other tenants within Southtown would want retail, and that was our goal. You know, the building itself had some challenges in doing that. It's 100,000 square feet, which is big, even for a big box. And with the dimensions of it, it's hard to demise. So really, we were looking at tenants that are a minimum of 50,000 square feet. And when you're looking for tenants of that size, unfortunately, there's a pretty limited pool of tenants that can fit that kind of footprint. But nevertheless, we actively put it out there nationwide. We came up with all of the different types of uses that we thought could be a fit. We reached out to different grocery users, furniture stores, a lot of the types of names that you've heard listed already earlier tonight. And unfortunately, we did not get any interest. We didn't get any proposals to lease. We didn't get any proposals to buy the property. And it wasn't for a lack of effort. There was just, unfortunately, a lack of interest. And there were, I don't disagree that there are definitely some good qualities to the center. It does have great visibility. It does have great traffic counts. But we also would get feedback from potential tenants that you can't get smaller footprints. The building being built as a single tenant building is set up such that there's only one dock, there's only one entrance, and some of these things can be fixed through reworking and a huge investment in the building, but it still presents challenges. It makes it difficult to split. And on top of that, there's, you know, a lot of tenants would prefer to be in a location that does have a higher density of retail. So we're competing against places like East Town Mall, West Town Mall, Prairie Lakes. And as time went on, then we entered into the pandemic. So of course, we know what happened in the course of the pandemic. All retail activity came to a halt. And although we did our best to try to find a retailer, we thought of creative uses. We were trying to look at indoor retail, recreational uses. I mean, literally, we were reaching out to anyone that we could come up with that could be a fit here that we felt would be not only good for Monona, but would be an ideal fit for what we're working with. And we just were unable to find any group that would be the right match. So ultimately, Devon did approach us in the middle of 2020. And although it wasn't the use we initially were looking to procure, it was a use that was very interested in the location. They were interested in making a huge investment in the property and fixing the aesthetics of the property, because that is another comment we had gotten from potential tenants, that the center overall is, I guess I'd call it a little tired looking, is something we kind of were getting a lot of feedback. So Devon wanted to come in and make a lot of improvements to the building, to the parking lot, to the site in general. And then they still were leaving the possibility for outlot development. And that we felt was a good compromise that would use the big box and have it be activated. Granted, it's not the retail use we were hoping for, but it would be activated. And we had actually gotten a lot of interest in outlots. From the time we had put the building on the market, we also had outlots on the market. And pretty quickly, we actually got a full price offer. And unfortunately, we weren't able to move forward on that because we had to wait and see what the plan for the larger building was. So over time, we did get a number of different groups that were looking at the outlots, even though there was a vacant box sitting behind it. And we feel that the Devon proposal would not only fix the big box and make it aesthetically look so much better and bring a huge investment to that area, but then it would open the door to have that retail development on the outlots, which there's a bigger market for. There is exponentially more small footprint tenants than there are big box. I mean, I think Floor and Decor specifically mentioned they're one of 2 growing big boxes right now. So the number of growing big boxes is very small, and the number of soon to be vacant big boxes is continuing to grow. So, you know, our hands were really tied, and I'm trying to do my best for my client and figure out something to do with the site. And this is the best thing we've come up with.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jenny. Greg?
Yes, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I I am sympathetic to all of the comments that were made. I know in a perfect world, retail would be the best fit for that particular site. However, we're now going on 2 years that that big box has sat vacant. And, you know, I do this nationally, and I see that of all the retail sector, all the real estate sectors that are out there, retail seems to really be bleeding and hemorrhaging at the moment. And it's not just COVID, but I think COVID helps, it helped speed the demise of retail along. So our position is not one to say, hey, we want this or nothing else. Ours is to come in the spirit of cooperation to say, listen, we'll try to give you as much as we can. We're going to commit, you know, millions of dollars of capital to remedy the building as it is. But to the degree that we can create out parcels and create additional interest and activity there, we're more than willing to do that. And that's all on our nickel. You know, Janine has literally, you know, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 2 years. And for her to re-up and commit to, you know, put that large box in position to the tune of $1.5 million to $2 million, she's going in the wrong direction as an investor / owner. The other thing is if she gets a lease in there, it encumbers that space for a minimum of 10 years, if not longer. So, you know, that's not her ultimate desire. So Doug, if I could ask you, I would just, you know, if we could get up on the screen, I would like to just give a representation to all parties at this point as to what we envision we would like to do with the site. The first slide is nothing more than looking at Shopko from Broadway. And you can see by this that we have a potential 2 future outlots, one on either side of the main divide. In addition, we would improve the landscaping that is currently there and in need of a little repair, as well as parking lot and lighting. And then, Doug, if you'd move to slide 2, please. So this is just a closer look, moving closer to the building itself, and then slide 3, Doug. Thank you. As you get closer. So a customer would enter from the front of the building. There is a stop sign there where those hatched marks are. And that's where you would enter the building and exit out the side. Doug, then if you could go to slide 4, please. So this is an aerial view of what it looks like from Broadway coming onto the facility with the proposed 2 future outlots, coming into the building from the front and then exiting out the side. Then the next slide, please, Doug. This is nothing more than an improved lighting schematic that Kevin will speak to at the end of our presentation. Next slide, please. This is a project that we just recently finished in Plainfield outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was a Kmart as well, you know, similar to the Shopko big box. Next slide, please, Doug. So it had been completely remodeled and redone. And then next slide, Doug. This is just a sample office that we have there. You know, very user-friendly, very complete with all the amenities that a current state-of-the-art self-storage facility has with CCTV cameras and the like. Next slide, please, Doug. This is a split that shows you how people access the building. They come to a keypad and they punch in their own personal number. A gate rolls up and then the overhead door opens. And then they can pull into the building itself with a car or truck. And, you know, in any kind of location that has adverse weather, this is quite the convenience for the end user. Next slide, please, Doug. This is just a sample of the drive lane and what it looks like. Every unit is locked and secured. These particular buildings have 64 CCTV cameras with audio that a person that is in need of any kind of assistance can can get to either the management office or an off-site call center. Next slide, please. Just a customer leaving, going out the exit door. Next slide, Doug. And just a sample hallway of the units that are there. These things are highly maintained and well kept, and we know that 70% of our end users are women. They self-identify by wanting a facility that is well lighted, secured, and where they can feel safe. Next slide, please. This is a projection of what we think will happen to the real estate taxes over a 10-year time frame, based upon the improvements we make in our conversations with tax authorities. Currently, the tax base is a little over $100,000. By the end of the 10th year, our liability for real estate taxes will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $460,000. So all of these things have been taken into consideration when we plan for this type of a facility. Next slide then, Doug. And in summary, the benefits of this particular type of proposal is that your real estate taxes will grow. We will create retail out parcels. We'll improve the parking lot, improve the lighting, and upgrade the landscaping. You will have a viable, stable user long-term there. I thank you for your time, and as time allows, I'll be happy to address any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Greg. Next up.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Kevin Yeska. I'm with JSD Professional Services. We are the survey, site, civil, and landscape consultant for the project. So I will keep things brief just for the sake of time. So our main focus with Devon was to really beautify this site, trying to work with the existing infrastructure, knowing that there's this growth for these future outlets, and at that time there may be that asphalt or pavement overhaul that's needed that Greg had touched on. But yeah, really we looked at the facade of the building and some of those islands that you see on our planting plan to just to upgrade. Look at digging out some of the existing soils that are there, trying to get some new nutrients into those soils, and then really bringing in some of those xeriscape plantings, your ornamental grasses, your perennials, and then new tree species throughout some of those islands. So those are all represented on our landscape plan, just to, again, try to beautify this site and make it welcoming for the user. So any questions related to site civil, happy to help.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up, presenting. Anybody else of your crew? And then I'm missing, Dan, is everybody spoken from your crew that wanted to speak?
Yes, those were our prepared remarks. We're happy to address any questions the Plan Commission may have.
Okay. Dan, I might speak for a moment if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Troy Main, who represents Janine. And Troy, you may recall, or at least the Plan Commission members who are here, who were also Plan Commissioners several years ago at the time that Troy brought forward some of the original out parcel concepts. Troy, go ahead.
Yeah, I asked to be able to participate briefly today for that reason. In October 2018, I appeared on Janine's behalf when the second iteration of outlot development was brought before this Plan Commission. And at that point in time, it was an effort to further energize the retail region there, generate more traffic trips. And at that point in time, there was an actual Shopko tenant that was operating. A mere few months later, obviously things had gone the other direction from the Shopko standpoint, and now that's been going on over 2 years ago. Janine did allude to this earlier that while the hope was to bring those outlots forward, the fact that the principal use had changed has caused her to need to go in another direction. So I think that as Jenny presented earlier, there had been a heck of a lot of effort made toward finding the kind of user that the community would prefer to have, but at the moment we're not having any luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Dan and Greg, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, just in summary, we do believe that we've got a very high quality proposal for an attractive site, meets all the technical requirements the city has. We realize that it's not the retail use that some residents and other business owners would like to see at this location, but it's not for lack of effort on Janine's part. It's been several years of outreach trying to solicit interest in this. And this is the result of all of that work. So I want to make clear for the Plan Commission that this is not a choice tonight between, two things, an A and a B, Floor and Decor versus Devon. This is our application that we're advancing tonight. We appreciate that Floor and Decor and others have shown up tonight to express their view on this application. But we would hope that the Plan Commission would judge it on its merits. And we find that it's consistent with the city's overall goals for investment at this location.
Great. Thanks, Dan. Thanks very much to all of you who presented. With that, I'd like to, is there anybody else?
Plan Commission meeting for the WPS project.
Sorry. Assuming there is no one else here, since we've asked several times to speak in the public hearing portion of this. Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and go to 5B, consideration of action on the request by Devon Self-Storage LLC for approval of a zoning permit for new use at 2101 West Broadway, case number 2-015-2020. Doug?
Thank you, Chair Moore. I can give a brief overview, brief staff report for this. Just call out a few things from the attached staff report in the meeting packet. So just as a reminder, this is a zoning permit application needed because the space has been vacant for both more than 6 months as well as the proposed change in use. The Plan Commission reviews zoning permit applications in the CBD zoning district. In terms of suggested discussion, the first point is the land use. So the Commission may wish to discuss the compatibility with the city's comprehensive plan, specifically the land use maps, and the fact that this is marked as a commercial use in both the current and future land use maps, whereas other storage uses, and this is a direct term that's taken from the comp plan, are listed as light industrial in their nature. Additionally, moving to the second point, the outlot development and the parking agreements. Attachment 3 of the meeting packet includes the aforementioned parking agreement. It's a 3-party agreement that's in place between the owners of the Shopko building, the mall to the west, not including the Kohl's, as well as the McDonald's to the north. That places greater requirements than city code on required parking standards for not just this site, but for the whole mall in general. So I included in the staff report some discussion of how that may influence and may impact potential outlot development further down the line, which also worth noting is not a part of this current application before the Commission tonight. In terms of the site design and circulation, I wanted to call out the northern entrance to the building with the sliding door, the alignment with the drive aisle of the parking area, and the potential impact there of the pedestrians crossing from the parking to the north, and just how the traffic circulation may work there. The lighting that is shown, the photometric plan, as well as the specifications for the fixtures are included. There is slight trespass of greater than 3-foot candles at a couple portions on the edge of the parcel, but these are both adjacent to additional commercial properties rather than to a street or something like that. So that may be something that the Commission chooses to discuss. The landscaping proposal focuses on the southern end of the parking lot, as well as the northern edge of the building. Plans call for 17 trees in total, as well as extensive shrubs and grasses, equating to greater than 1,400 points per attachment 2 of the zoning code. The engineering review was conducted by Darren Pope of Beerbecker, and that's included as attachment 4 of the packet. There are a couple things highlighted in there. And then in terms of staff comments, this was shared with city department heads for their review and comment. Fire Chief McMullen has spoken with the applicant and run through the things that they would need. He has comments about access, sprinklers, as well as alarms, and they've been discussing that and the codes that would need to be met. Public Works Director Dan Stefani had comments on the signage, the parking lot upgrades themselves, as well as the condition of both the asphalt and the curb. And he gave pretty extensive sort of items that are called out in the staff report. Lieutenant Weigel of the police department had some comments about both the hours of operation, particularly those where staff would not be present, as well as potential challenges with surveillance and some of the things that he's seen from other storage uses. And just in closing, I would like to just say that after discussion and conclusion of the public hearing, the commission may choose to approve with conditions, continue review of the application to a future meeting, or deny the application. The Plan Commission should provide the findings of fact for the record, supporting their determination on the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Much appreciated. With that, we'll begin questions by the committee. Chris, would you like to kick us off this evening?
Well, not really, but I will. Normally, this is, I think, where I would get down my large list of very technical issues and details, and we'd start talking about all those. But we've been given a lot of new information tonight, and I think our overriding issue is obviously, do we allow this use in a commercial district? And I think that's clearly the issue for us tonight. And if we decide one way or another, I think then we go through all the details. But for me, this is a lot. We've learned a lot of information tonight we've never heard before. So I almost think it's something we should have a chance to digest a little bit instead of just making a snap decision. Clearly, this is zone CDD. This is not zoned. Clearly, mini warehouse, interior storage, etc. I would love it if this was on the south side of the Beltline, but it's not. It's in a CDD district, and a CDD district is not conducive. It's not meant for storage buildings. It's what it is. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. Now, we looked at it, we talked about it, but boy, I mean, we've gotten a lot of new information tonight from both sides. So I think we need to be looking at the overall decision first. Is this appropriate or not before we or the applicant spend any more time or effort going further than that on all the details? I love that Kevin Yeska's here. I'd love to talk about 20 details on there, but I don't think that's appropriate right now.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Rob?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and all the additional information. And I certainly appreciate all the effort put forward to this. And I think Chris has a good point in, determining whether the use of this building is appropriate in this place. And I mean, there's a lot of positives that you could draw to a project like this. It dresses up the property. It does a lot of kind of short-term improvements, which are great, but I think it comes back to, as far as use of the site and what it's zoned is the real question. And it's commercial retail, and that's, you look at our future land use maps, it would be a purple dot in there. It's spelled out to the letter, storage as light industrial. And like we said, we've gotten a lot more information about this project. And another thing, that was stated is that the development of these outlots is a possibility, but it's not part of this application. That would be great. It would be great if that happened 2 years ago too. And I would still like to see it, but it's not necessarily going to happen if Devon self-storage goes forward. They might want it to happen, but that's not part of the application, if I understand it correctly. Yeah, so looking at the the comp plan and land use maps and future land use maps, I think what this project accomplishes is a lot of good in the short term, but it changes our land use map in the future, and I don't know if it's a direction that Monona should be going.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. Josh?
Thanks, Chair Moore. So I'm with Chris and Rob so far. I mean, it really comes down to use. I don't think it makes sense to focus on any of the other submittal until we determine whether or not it's appropriate use. I'm of the mindset that the retail environment has changed, and I think it's changed forever. A lot of good feedback today around the lack of interest in a big box space this size. I do worry that if we reject this use, this space will continue to sit vacant. But at the same time, long term, what's appropriate for this site? I'm certainly focused on long-term future impact. This is a unique parcel. It's got great exposure to the Beltline. I do worry a little bit about this use in this location. And if we look at the way that the space is zoned today, this does not comply. So that's where I'm sitting right now. I know that's not a decision, but I share my concerns.
No, I'm just looking for, as usual, I'm working my way around the table, so to speak, to each committee member. So I appreciate that. Susan?
Well, I don't have a lot to add to what's already been said. That's kind of where I sit. I think, what appealed to, and I think we were all pretty clear when we first heard about this project that it wasn't anybody's first choice. We all had some reluctance, and in between time, I've gone back through the comp plan myself, and as well as the comments today, and thought about, I thought we are a landlocked community, and every decision we make is really important because we don't have any room to expand, to redo things. We've just done a lot of development of new residential, very nice residential housing, some of which is yet to be completed pretty near this place. My concern was the same thing that's been voiced, that what's happening with retail, especially big box stores, even East Town, West Town having trouble. It is, from that standpoint, I get that it's a large building, but I think it's a hard decision to make during this time also with COVID, because this isn't a great time to evaluate any of this. And I just think it's, with the comprehensive plan, it's already been said that this is not what was envisioned in that place. It's not in the original parking agreement back from 1982 or 3, whenever that original agreement was. The entire plot was supposed to be a shopping center. And I have a hard time making a choice. It's appealing because it is an attractive facility. There is a need for storage. I mean, I think all those, it's not that it's a bad project. I just think putting in this location is something that we could regret later, because I do think it has the potential to have a negative impact on the rest of the retail that's already there. And it's difficult to make that decision right now for me. So
thank you.
That's where I am.
Thank you, Susan. Christy?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to thank everyone that sent emails and everyone who showed up today and participated in this process. It's great that we have this kind of engagement and people caring about our community. I think one thing I really want the public to understand, because a lot of the emails we received is, maybe a misunderstanding of our role here and asking us not to choose a storage facility to go into the Shopko space. And I just want to make sure the public is aware that the city does not have the power or the authority to do any choosing here. This is a private business transaction between Janine, is it? Yeah, Janine and Greg Mackey. And so what we can do as a city is kind of support key commercials role and letting people know that we have a site available and seek, people to, pique some interest in that space. But we really have no power in this transaction. It's definitely hard for me. I think about everything the other commissioners have said, and I think about this as our really probably the last best developable site on the Beltline in the entire Madison region. It's a fantastic site with enormous potential. And I think about Greg Mcgee's investment of $10 million, in like he said, toward our tax base. And that's something that's really hard to kind of swat away in this current climate. But I do have some questions. Oh, I did want to just point out one other thing, just as a clarifying matter for the public, is I kind of see the Southtown site as almost like pulling together a redevelopment opportunity if you had a historic downtown. So let's say you have a city block with 8 buildings and maybe you have 6 owners. And that's kind of what this is. And so it's not like we have one owner at this site and we can pull off some great redevelopment and support them in their redevelopment plans. That's not what's happening here. There's a lot of players and a lot of stakeholders, and everything we decide with this site, it impacts the office complex to the east. It impacts their employee experience and WPS's employee experience. So there's big things to consider. My questions for Devon, I'm curious, do you own the indoor storage facility that is in the other Shopco site on the north side of Madison? There is another indoor climate controlled facility?
No, we don't own anything in the greater Madison Monona area.
Okay. I'm curious about your market research and the storage facility is enormous. And so I'm really curious about the demand and what level of market research you've done. And if you think there really is enough demand to have that much space used for storage.
Well, we've done a tremendous amount of research, and our investor group are very sophisticated. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. So they would not be interested in going forth on this type of a project unless they agreed with what we had found and what we are basically presenting to them. So this isn't just a flash in the pan, quick desire to, build a self-storage facility. It's far from that. They're long-term, players. They're going to be in here for, multi-years. So yeah, we feel that the market's underserved. Specifically, I mean, if you take a look at what your product type is in that general market, I think you'd be hard pressed to find too many drive-through, climate-controlled, self-storage, self-contained self-storage facilities.
Okay. I know in our community design district code, there's number 4E states that you must, and I'm quoting, serve regional and community needs for employment. And Shopco had employed, I talked with the husband of a woman who used to work at Shopco to get a sense of how many employees they had. And he said it was upwards of 50 employees in that site. And so I feel like that for me is a real sticking point, let alone the other issues that the other commissioners have mentioned is, thinking about 2 jobs in a climate where people need employment. That's not typically something we face here in this Madison market because, it's a very strong market typically in a jobs, in the jobs environment. But for me, that really is a challenge. I think, I would say that I feel like if this were to pass through, I don't want people to give up all hope of the future of this site. I think there's still a lot of potential. I like to call this property like our future Hilldale because it has so much potential and what we could do there. And I think, your investment could kind of, I call it kind of the party in front and the business in the back. Like there could be a building almost built in front of the Devon storage if it were to go through that, allows you to be a part of it, but, you know, has a more of, you know, something else going on that really activates that enormous parking lot.
I'll
So,
go for it. If you could,
yeah,
if you could
wrap up. Yep.
well, just I appreciate you staying focused to the proposal in front of us as opposed to
Yeah.
frankly, as was pointed out earlier, this is not an issue of in fact the other option that was presented tonight. This is one applicant, one application, one proposal that these guys have spent a lot of time on. So I'd like to just remain focused on that if we could.
Yes, of course. I have one last question. And I want to know a little about your safety plan, because I feel like there could be an opportunity for some illicit behavior in there and possibly even prostitution, drug activity. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, you have 64 cameras. They're all placed at particular points of ingress, egress, and down the hallways. After hours, we have monitoring by a private firm. We have audio there. So anytime, if there's anybody in there after hours, it triggers this, you know, call center, and they can say, hey, listen, we have you on camera. You have exactly 30 seconds to vacate the building or the police will be called. So, you know, we do this across the country. I would say that Monona is probably one of the safer jurisdictions that we would consider going into. So, you know, look at, we understand safety, and, you know, we put everything, all measures in place to make sure that the customer has a good experience, that their goods are protected, and that their person is protected.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's really my last question. I appreciate your candid answers.
Thank you. Corinne?
Hi, yes, again, thank you to everyone for all of the prepared remarks and for providing us with the information. I agree that there's a lot of new information that was presented, not only in the packet, especially with the cross parking easement or the cross access easement, but also with some of the presentation materials today. And, you know, we've talked a lot already about the land use and whether it is compatible with our current and our future land use maps. But I also just spent a lot of time looking at our comprehensive plan, and I feel that our plan is really guiding in a direction where we need to be thinking about the compatibility factors. That's a word that was used in our zoning code as well as in our comprehensive plan, where it talks a lot about the compatibility with adjacent land uses. And I did hear that from a lot of the neighboring property owners today with concerns about the compatibility. So I agree that this is something that we need to think about and we need to talk about and really consider how to move forward.
Okay, great. Thank you, Corinne.
Chris has his hand up.
Chris, go ahead.
I didn't, if you were going to speak, I just wanted to explain, I know all the commissioners understood me. I'm not trying to be wishy-washy saying I want to think about it, but I don't think the public understands. We get our packet on Thursday or Friday. We have all weekend to go through it. A lot of these comments have just come in. I mean, we were receiving it up almost till the meeting. I know the one, I can't remember, I think it was Rob Call. I didn't even get to read the whole thing yet before the meeting, and it was a page or two long. So when I say we need time to digest it all, we haven't had a good opportunity. When did you send out the last packets, Doug? A couple hours ago, 3 hours ago?
Last comments were at 5, yeah.
But understand the commissioners on top understood it when I said that, but I started thinking when Christy and everybody was talking to the public that you don't understand what I mean by that. We've just received a lot of information on top of all the speakers tonight. And that's a lot to digest and go through and make sure we're very systematic. We're doing everything appropriately and looking at everything and everybody that's put in comment, because quite honestly, we don't get this type of public response normally. This is why we have public hearings, find out what our community thinks. And this is awesome to have this kind of feedback, but we need to be able to really put it to use. And that's why I started saying, I don't think we should be making a decision tonight. I don't think we've all had enough of an opportunity to digest everything that's been presented.
Yeah, I hear you, and I appreciate it. So just to follow up on what Chris said, I wanted to give an opportunity to hear, obviously, everybody on the committee or plan commission. But it's certainly given the feedback of what I just heard from the members of this committee. It sounds to me, I know I'm certainly feeling a bit overwhelmed by it all as well, as Chris said, and as the chair of the committee, I know I responded to every letter that was sent to the committee simply to say that, as always, I would expect this commission to be very deliberative and thoughtful in our approach and in our deliberations. And it certainly sounds to me like there's enough thinking that needs to go on here and peeling of the onion, if you will, that needs to go on here in terms of some of the concerns that were raised, whether, as has been pointed out, whether it relates to the, to the actual use or the parking challenges or potential problems and the other issues that have been raised. So with that, I certainly would suggest that this committee table this decision for tonight, and that we continue to spend time with that comprehensive plan and be deliberative in our thinking, get the answers we need to get to feel comfortable with whatever decision we make, anticipating that decision would be at the next meeting. Certainly sounds like what I'm hearing from everybody who just spoke, that they're not prepared to make a decision tonight and they would like some time to think. And as that's what we've committed to as a commission always, to be deliberative and thoughtful, I certainly would entertain a motion in that regard.
Move to table.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. I have a second from Josh. I have a motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Ian, Greg, Jenny, Janine, everyone is here. I'm sorry that we couldn't give you an answer tonight. I hope you appreciate that we really are, for all the reasons I'm sure you can understand, struggling with this. It's not an easy decision. And we need to continue to deliberate, but I really, really want to thank you for your time tonight and for all the work that you've put in. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
With that, I would like to move to 6C. And if we've done our work correctly, Doug's had the other individuals that are to appear tonight on speed dial, so they didn't have to sit through the first half of this meeting. So 6C is a pre-hearing conference on the request of Wisconsin Physician Service, WPS, represented by DLR Group, for consideration of a zoning permit for new construction at 1765 West Broadway, case number 2-002-2021.
If I may, could we actually, we did 5A and 5B, but we didn't have the hearing for 6007B Monona Drive, 6A and B.
Oh, did I miss something? Oh, sorry. My bad. It's my bad eyesight. Let's go. Sorry, 6A, public hearing for the request for Brittany Andowa for approval of a zoning permit for new use at 6007B Monona Drive, case number 2-001-2021. With apologies. Brittany, you here? Great, welcome.
Thank you.
I hope you weren't waiting too long.
Okay.
What would you like to tell us tonight?
So my name is Brittany Ando. I am the owner of Empire Nutrition LLC. I propose to use this space at 6007B as a nutrition club. It works similar to a coffee shop. It's kind of a come and take and go service, but instead of serving coffee, I serve meal replacement shakes, healthy meal replacement shakes, energizing teas. I'm also a independent distributor, and I do one-on-one wellness coaching and accountability and meal plans.
Wow.
So within my nutrition club, I would have a bar. I would make the people would come in, order off my menu. I have a variety of 70 to 80 different flavors of shakes. I do post-workouts, pre-workouts, things like that. So my intention is to bring awareness to the health and wellness of the community and have access to accountability and support with their health and wellness goals.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anybody else here related to your project, or are you just here representing yourself?
I represent myself.
Okay, great. Just thought I'd double check. Thanks very much. Unless there's anybody else here to talk about that even Brittany doesn't know about, we will close the public hearing and go to 6B, consideration of action on the request by Brittany and out for the approval of a zoning permit for the new use at 6007B Monona Drive, case number 2-001-2021. So with that, Doug.
Thank you, Chair Moore. I can give just a very brief overview. This application, it's for a zoning permit. The retail store has been vacant for more than 6 months, and so the new use requires the zoning permit to be considered. The Plan Commission reviews the zoning permit requests in the retail business zoning district. The future land use map of the comprehensive plan has this listed as a commercial space, and this proposal aligns with this. The application includes information about the hours of operation. I would just call out that it's more of a morning into early afternoon operation. So as with all of these retail uses in the strip centers, parking is a consideration, but as mentioned in the letter, it's a quicker, less than 15-minute type visit that the applicant expects people to make it at the property. And it works pretty well, it seems, with the other users in the space, most notably the Swad Indian restaurant that maybe is more of an afternoon, evening crowd. So I would call the attention to that, as well as the sign permit application form that's included in the packet. That is actually a window sign, which can be approved administratively. The applicant had that ready, so I just included it as reference for the packet, but that's something that could be considered. If the zoning permit is approved, then I can work on that administratively. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I will open it up to members. Rob, do you want to start this one?
Sure. Thanks for your interest in Monona. I don't have a lot to say. I think it's an appropriate use and will fit well in with adjacent uses. I say good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Christy?
Yeah, I think this is a good, unique use of that space, especially given the parking challenges. Yeah, I also wish you luck and say, if you ever need support or want to reach out, the commissioners are here, or the city, please know that we want you to succeed. And yeah, we're here for you, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Maureen?
Hi. Yes, thank you for your interest. I do have a couple of questions for you. One of the, I had not heard of this company before, so I looked it up, and I saw that some of the other locations serve more than shakes and teas. And so I was wondering if that was something that you were thinking you would move into at any future point.
Yeah, so I am familiar with all the local or surrounding nutrition clubs. They do like waffles or crepes and things like that. Whereas I am an expansion out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. We have about 12 nutrition clubs there, and none of us do any food prepping or anything like that, because that requires a different type of licensing for one.
Okay.
And we, as far as profit, how we get paid from Herbalife itself, we don't profit out of the products that we use to make additional things like that. So it's not necessary to be successful
Okay.
in using those things.
Will you use it as a retail space then as well for the product, the other?
I will not.
Okay.
As far as I know, we're not allowed to. So it'll just be, I'll just be using ice and powder and water, and I'll be blending, sealing, and sending it. And so as a distributor, they're able to order their own products for their own use at home through me, but I don't sell them out of my club.
Okay. And then one other question. I saw in the letter that you wrote that you do have an intention of building a team of wellness coaches. Would they use the store in order to provide that coaching assistance?
Yes. So like myself, I worked out of Elite Nutrition out of La Crosse, Wisconsin under my mentor for a year, for my past year. I was not paid. I used the club as a tool to build my own business as an independent distributor. From then on, I went on to open up my own nutrition club. So they are able to use the space to build their own business, to have appointments, to provide people with their own meal plans and stuff like that. We've also been doing that virtually. And so it's kind of, the space will be my own business, but I would open that up to my downline to use to build their own.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Anything else, Kareem?
Nope, that's it.
Great, Chris?
Everything's been said. Good luck. I think it's a good use and good complement to the center.
Right, great. Susan?
I agree. I think it's a fine use for the center. And I guess my only question is a little bit about parking. I know that, and particularly in light of your comments about having someone there, maybe meeting with clients too, they might be there a little longer than just getting a shake and, you know, downing a shake and leaving. And because both, well, SWAD during non-COVID times has a lunch buffet that's quite popular. And so that, and their hours are 10:30 to 3. So there would be potentially people coming. Now you may be more, maybe your clients come more early morning than at lunch even. So that might not be. And then the taqueria also, same thing. They serve some food there, I think. And so there would be some additional traffic there, you know, maybe not. Is that a concern for you at all? Or you think that?
Just because of my experience working out of Elite and other clubs in La Crosse, during working hours, I would say the max that I've ever seen at one time has been 10 people at one time. And that's people who are coming and going. As far as appointments, we try to schedule appointments either after hours, and that's maybe 1 or 2 appointments at a time where I handle individually face-to-face. So that would be 1 car to.
Right. So you don't foresee an issue with that.
No.
Okay.
And I've spent a lot of time at the space, and that's something that I've been aware of and have observed intentionally to see when busy hours are, and as far as local business or surrounding businesses as well. And it is very busy, but I don't see an issue with it. I'm not worried about it.
Well, thanks. That was my only thought. Otherwise, I think it looks great. So
thank you.
Good luck.
Great. Did Josh, did I already ask you?
Nope. Big thumbs up for me. Thanks.
You moved on my screen, so I was trying to keep track of where you were. Good. All right, good. Do I have Brittany? First of all, welcome to Monona.
Thank you.
I'm a fan of La Crosse, but you're gonna like it here.
I think so. I was drawn to it.
Yeah. So with that, do I have a motion?
Move approval with conditions as recommended by staff.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Again, welcome to Monona, girl. Have fun. Well, yeah, if there's anything we can do for you, just let us know.
I will. I appreciate you all.
Okay. Okay, now moving to 6C, again, with apologies to WPS. 6C, pre-hearing conference on the request by Wisconsin Physician Service, WPS, represented by DLR Group for consideration of a zoning permit for new construction at 1765 West Broadway, case number 2-002-2021.
All right, this is Ken Roseth. Thank you, Nancy and Doug, for having us here today and giving us the opportunity to present what we're planning. We're looking at a new project on the WPS campus. It's going to be on the west side of the campus, and it's a building that's going to combine both our inbound and our outbound mail and some data that we need to transition between the two. Inbound mail is when the mail comes in the door. It's opened, it's scanned. We currently do that on the campus and other areas. And then it gets scanned into our system, moved about through our business. And then on the other end, the outbound mail is where that the EOB payment or the payments to providers or the EOBs are printed and inserted into envelopes and then sent out for shipping. So that's the project. It also has a data center to support those functions in there. And I'm here tonight. I have Andrew McCready, who is our Director of Facility Operations. Matt Johnson is our architect. He'll be ready to present. And Brett Newcomb is our contractor. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Matt. And then at the end, we'll take any questions that you have. So go ahead, Matt.
Sure. Thanks, Ken. Again, at a very high level, what's unique about this building itself is actually bringing facilities that occur throughout the Madison area onto this campus. The print center now is currently located in Madison, which is part of this building now. Also, the data center, the data room itself is in the adjacent, they call it the RKB building. And so it's updating the facilities. The best way to do that is with a brand new building. So that's being relocated out of RKB into this new building. And then the imaging center is actually currently located in the Nordby building, which is a large building with a parking garage on the east side of the site, also being co-located into this facility. And so the real big driver is how do you create a building of efficiencies and try to create these resources together so there's a lot less movement of materials throughout the process of, and so they're coming in, being produced, then being shipped out. The building's also acting as a staging for the entire campus itself. So all deliveries come to this building and then product will be moved around within the campus area itself. The building, a tilt-up concrete construction building, about 45,000 square feet, utilizing parking that currently exists. The area is overparked, even with the sale of Nordby and the potential sale of Nordby and the garage itself. There's still enough flat lot parking for the addition as well as existing buildings, which is a big benefit. And there's also adjacent stormwater area that we're currently analyzing in terms of how do we continue to utilize it, improve it as may be required to satisfy stormwater wetland requirements. The building, I would say, again, it's connected to RKB. The RKB building acts as the front door to the new facility. Security occurs through that building, and then you move through it into the new facility itself. The facility also designed to sit by itself long-term if needed. So it's designed to be flexible, as possible for WPS in integrating with their current campus and what may become the future. Sort of the biggest unknown is what does go back to work look like within the office environment. This is a mission critical facility. So this is a part of the services that need to be functioning all the time. And so it's built in that way as well. So it's a sound structure. It's a secure structure. Be good lighting. We still have windows and stuff to allow daylighting in. So it's a good working environment within the building. Yet it appears as a good building to the corporate campus itself. It's not look like an industrial building. It looks like part of a corporate campus. So it's got to have a high, I'll call it curb appeal to it. And that's we keep working through the materials and the texture of the finishes to ensure that it's first class building. That's the goal. And so I can answer either plan questions if you have any questions in detail about the building itself. Happy to go through that. And Doug, I'll take your advice in terms of if you want to present anything else to it that be pertinent before I move on.
I think, I don't know which of you would mention this, but maybe if you could just touch on the loading dock component.
Sure.
As well, please.
Yeah, so loading dock's at the south side of the building. And so it's at the very northwest side of the campus itself. And so the whole premise with this was to drive truck traffic around the site to the back side, to the south side. So it's not coming through the campus itself. One of the realities with campus, there's a lot of roadway, a lot of parking, a lot of buildings and people crossing streets, et cetera. And so the hope was then to move the truck traffic to the south, to be entering at the west stoplight in and around. Really again, create a more pedestrian-friendly campus itself, yet and then consolidate that truck traffic. But the dock itself is it's got a drive-in bay or really a drive-up door as well as 4 loading dock doors. It's all a screened enclosure. The transformer and generator will be moved to that south side, will be fully screened from the belt line. Pretty controlled environment is really what our goal is, get it all centralized.
And this is Ken, and I'll just add that we currently have docks at all of the buildings, and that's what we're receiving trucks. You know, we have 2 or 3 dock doors at all of the different buildings, and we're receiving all kinds of things. And this will consolidate that into one receiving area, and then it'll be distributed from there. We're trying to get away from all of this displaced activity. Another thing is these 2 functions, the 2 inbound mail and the outbound mail, have been our critical operations since COVID started. Those folks have showed up for work every day, and we've had challenges just managing managing our way through COVID like any other business to make sure that those people have enough space and they are safe, and we do have all the right protocols in place. So this is critical operations, and then the data that goes with it, speaks for itself.
Anybody else from your team, Ken, that wanted to speak in the pre-hearing?
No, I think that wraps up our discussion today, unless we have more questions.
Great. So I'll just the purpose of the pre-hearing being any kind of feedback that you have for the team that's in front of us. And I'm just going to assume, Andrew and Ken, that, because you guys are so far ahead of the curve and everybody else in Monona, that this is going to be like a zero based or at least LEED certified mail house too, or something like that. You guys are going to knock it out of the park again with a new building.
Well, we will go for Energy Star certification right away up front. Plus, we are also incorporating a whole solar array on the entire roof. In one of the sections on the entire roof. So
Right.
We'll have a pretty good solar representation when we're done too.
Great. Fantastic. Fantastic. Any comments, questions, comments on the proposal from commission members? Starting with Josh.
I guess my one comment as I was reviewing this is looking at the proposed use and then thinking about the Devon self-storage project that just came through, does this comply? And I recognize that it's part of a larger campus and critical business functions, but it does appear that you're adding a significant storage unit to the site. If I looked at the plans correctly, does that account for maybe a quarter of the addition?
Really what that is, it's material handling. So everything that gets printed within the facility comes through that central dock. The paper's got to acclimate to the print equipment itself before it can get utilized. So it has to be a very low static and type environment. The paper's got to be humid enough so that you don't cause problems and create problems in the future. So it's not about storage and the idea of storage for long-term stuff. It's all about the materials coming through the building, and they got to stage somewhere. There's that kind of volume coming through the building. They got to stage it somewhere. Envelopes, paper stock. There's a lots of variety of paper stock, big rolls of paper stock. It's got to come in, it's got to acclimate, then gets put on the equipment and comes out. And so there's a pretty high churn rate of material through there. So I would think of it that way in terms of material handling, not storage of stuff long-term that just because you have no place else to put it, you put it in there. It's not that kind of building.
Got it. Okay. That was the one thing that struck me. I mean, otherwise it seems like it's pretty clear in terms of what WPS is trying to accomplish here. And again, you guys know how to do it right. So I have no real concerns.
Thank you. Rob, any feedback?
I think I need to recuse myself from comment.
Okay. Thank you. Corinne?
I had a thought too, just thinking about what we were talking about with the shopping center, and if you're consolidating more services and you're bringing more employees to the area, it just made me think that there's maybe more people that would want to use a shopping center and look for compatible uses there too. So not related to your proposal, but just kind of going off what Josh had said. I didn't see anything that I don't have any questions. And it was like you anticipated Nancy's question about solar.
Well, having spent a little bit of time and been in communication with Ken and Andy before,
okay.
and if you follow WPS at all, I wasn't kidding. You know they are a leader, and not only in this community, as it relates to sustainability, and we very much appreciate it. Chris?
Okay, I'll start by thank you. You're a wonderful, wonderful business to have in Monona. We sincerely appreciate you, and whatever we can do to make your life easier within our powers, I think is appropriate. You've been a great steward in Monona and done a lot of really nice things. And in response to Josh's points, first thing I saw too, we had to have this come on right after a warehouse, and the warehouse, that W word was in your presentation. But here's the way I see it is, you've got over 250,000 square feet of office space here. It needs some support facility, and it makes sense to have it right on the campus. And I don't really see this as a warehouse. As been explained, you're warehousing the material you use in your print room to send out all the masses of mailings and checks and all the great things you do. So I see this as a totally separate issue than the one we just looked at. And I think a support facility for your campus is wholly appropriate. Now, where you're going to probably quit smiling, I think you need a lot more brick. Your campus is gorgeous, and you're maintaining 3 fully brick buildings. The Nordby building is relatively concrete. That's on the far, the east side now. And I see you've got we didn't really have a presentation, and excuse me, my eyes are getting old. And when we have these half-scale plans, it gets really, really hard for me to read some of that stuff. So I'm trying to read it. It looks like, Brett, you've got some brick cast in your panels. I know you can do some marvelous things with your tilt-ups. And I have a lot of faith in what you can build. But to me, when I look at your campus, this looks a little more industrial than the rest of your campus. And to me, to my eye, it needs some more to tie it into the rest of your buildings. That's an overall.
And that's why we have Brett on the line today. Brett, you want to go ahead and give us a little bit of background on that?
I can, yeah. Thanks for your comments, Chris. Good to see you again. I think the brick is, that whole element of that design has been evolving. And this will be probably closer to what we did with Blackhawk Church in Fitchburg or Fiskars in Middleton. So it's going to have different materials clad onto the concrete panels. And some of that is potentially going to be wood. And there's going to be some metal panels similar to like in a Lucabond flat panel. And then another product called a knot wood, which is KNOT, which is a beautiful product. And it's in the hands of a wonderful architect. And if you guys were to just go on DLR's website, this is a significant designer, and we just have to trust that they're going to do it right. And the current design, in my opinion, is going to be an award-winning design, and it's going to complement the other buildings that are out there. And yes, Chris, we'll make sure it's perfectly built and something that you guys can all be proud of.
Okay, and it's my general comment. You know, I know you've got work to do, but first blush, and you haven't really presented much yet. It doesn't, to me, tie in enough to your existing campus, and your campus is gorgeous. And I think you got to be very cognizant of that as you go through your design process. The whole point of this is to talk about things that we think you should be thinking about as you go through the final iterations of your plans. Another thing would certainly be that loading dock. I know it says it's going to be well shielded from the belt line. Truth be known, it's facing the belt line, but you have a lot of property even on the other side of Angle Street. And I think with some good landscaping and things, you can make it so you just don't see that. And a lot of your screening you've done before, it's always been with compatible materials to the buildings. In fact, you know, I'm speaking in the choir. You all know what you have. You have brick screen walls everywhere for your loading docks. So just again, to keep on with that, I know you have enough parking. In the past, your problem's always been you didn't have it in the right spot. you know, it wasn't where by the buildings you want. And that's your call as far as I'm concerned. You're meeting parking as long as you feel you can get everybody parked where they need to be. I know in the past you've had to kind of dedicate some parking areas, say you can't park here, you got to park over there to fill up your lots. And that's great. We don't need to be building parking lots that aren't going to be used. So I'm perfectly good with that. You have great ponds on the south side of Angle that you built for your water quality. Hopefully you'll be able to integrate that. Maybe you have to change them a little bit, but hopefully that can go for all your water quality. And I think, again, that's something we'll take a look at, but I think it's something that can easily be handled on your campus. And I'm just so happy that WPS has chosen to keep Monona their home, and it's been such a great corporate side, largest by far and away corporate citizen here. So thank you.
Thank you. Matt, do you have anything more to add to the facade?
An evolution. You keep kind of peeling the onion and kind of making sure it looks the best it can, because it's going to be a building that's going to last a long time. So we want to use quality materials and have it be just a good kind of partner on that campus to have its own kind of its own recognition, but it's respecting the buildings around it and fits in well, and you'd be proud to have it.
Susan?
Nothing to add, really. I think it looks great. So everything's been said.
Okay.
Thanks.
Christy?
Yes. Hi. Nice to see you both, Ken and Andrew, again. Yeah, I would reiterate what Chris said. We're so glad you're staying in Monona, and totally makes sense to consolidate. That is really logical and smart. I see the in the street level view from the southwest, I see the big, there's a big wall, kind of a concrete, probably a screening wall. That might be a great space for a mural. So just planting that seed. If you're ever interested in finding an artist, please reach out and I can probably help you out with that. That could look great. Otherwise, I think, I know Newcomb Construction is tops in their field and really well known, and does great quality. So glad to see you're using someone local like that too. Congratulations in it. I can't wait to watch the rest of your master planning process unfold.
Thank you.
Hey, anything else for WPS? Okay, that being the case, you are through your pre-hearing. I hope the feedback was helpful. We look forward to seeing you guys back at some other date soon. Again, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing the new building. And by the way, great job with the nice big mask on the sign up front.
Thank you very much for having us tonight.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move to 6D, pre-hearing conference on the request of the Monona Grove School District, represented by Point of Beginning, Inc., for consideration of a zoning permit for new artificial turf field and replacement running track at 4400 Monona Drive, case number 2-003-2021. So I'm gonna, I was just about to go back. Go ahead, Chris, you can announce it yourself.
I'm doing some substantial work for the school district right now, so I'm going to abstain from any action on their project. I have built a number of artificial turf fields. So if anybody wants technical explanation, I'm happy to offer it, but I don't want to make the commission go one way or another on this.
Right.
Steve.
Right. Chris, I appreciate you doing that. Susan?
And I'm also going to abstain from any conversation since I'm on the school board.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Susan. So with that, who is presenting? Who's up?
So my name is Andrew Gefford with Point of Beginning. I'll be presenting
Okay.
for the school for the project. If my microphones don't always work on my computer, so if I'm too quiet, I can plug in my headphones.
No, it's working great.
All right, fantastic. Well, as you know, the school, the city has passed a funding project for the school to fund a these new ball fields, the football field and the track. So the project that we are presenting is a replacement of the existing football field and track that surrounds it. It's being converted from the existing grass field that will be removed and replaced with a synthetic turf field. The track will be getting a little wider to facilitate a wider field to accommodate soccer. Being that the track is widened, there's a couple of jumping events that'll have to get moved to the south side of the field. Besides that, there's not very much going on. Basically, this project is replacing an existing football field with a new football field. With that, I'll open it up to questions. I'd like to let you know that we do have the architect on the project here online, as well as a representative from the school to help answer any questions that the board may have.
Great. Thank you. With that, I will open it up to commission members. Josh, do you have anything?
Thanks, Nancy. No, I really don't. Everything that I looked through here, I mean, it seems like it's a pretty straightforward project. I am not a civil engineer by any means. Just the fact that we're adding some additional impervious surface. It sounds like you're going through the process to ensure that we'll be controlling that water, waste for the stormwater appropriately. So I think that's my biggest focus. As we see the submission come through in a formal hearing, we'll be looking to see the city's consulting engineer review and just ensure that we're complying to their requirements.
Okay, great. Christy?
Yeah, I really don't have any questions at this point. I want to make sure that I think of the homes on the north side across the street and have some, just want to make sure your plans are really shored up for any drainage and runoff issues, because they're probably going to be the ones that see some of that water that comes their way if it's not adequately controlled.
You mean on the north side of the street?
Yeah.
North side of Cold Springs?
Yes, correct. It's a little lower. It heads down. I think it's down, isn't it down a little, like the elevation's a little lower than the fields?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can address that now.
That'd be great.
What we will be discharging to the street will be less than what is being discharged right now.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Great. Is that it, Christy? Okay. Corinne? Any feedback for these guys? It's a pre-hearing tonight.
I guess wondering if it's impervious, how do you drain it? Like how does it work?
Sure. Well, it's not really impervious. It actually can soak through into the dirt below, but we have to model it as impervious because it is
okay.
More water will run off than what's currently running off. Doug, I don't know if you can put up the plans, particularly page 7, the cross section of the field. So basically what's happening in the field is there's gravel and stone underneath the field. and that the rain will fall down and go right through the synthetic turf, right into the stone underneath the field, and sheet off to the side. And on the sides, there's a trench full of stone with a perforated pipe. So the combination of the pipe and the stone, the void space in between the stone, that will all fill up with water as you get rain, and then that is slowly released out to the street through a hole in a wall, which is what we call a control structure and a restrictor.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, and then that answers the question that you just did to Christy too. That's how you can reduce the amount that's going out to the street now, because you're spreading it over a larger area.
Yeah, basically the field itself acts as a stormwater pond.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any questions. Is just related.
One more page. There it is on the left side.
The bottom left?
Bottom left. So you can see on that detail, on the right side of the detail is the main field, and that you've got the synthetic turf on top and the stone underneath, and that so the water flows down, hits the native soil, flows down to the left into the trench, and fills up all the stone void space and fills up that perforated pipe. And so that's where all the water is getting stored, in that stone, when you get a large rain event that needs to get stored under the field.
Okay. Thank you.
Certainly.
Great. Thank you. Well, let me get my full screen back. There you go. Rob, do you have anything, any feedback for these?
Who do I thank for this novel of the stormwater? I found a couple errors in here, but I'm not going to touch on those. No, I don't have much to comment on. I was going to ask for an explanation of the fact that it's impervious, just so the commission knows how that's going to be handled, but you've already covered that. So other than that, I don't have a lot to say. I think it looks fine.
Okay. I think you guys hopefully got a little bit of feedback from us, and or at least close to a thumbs up. I hope that's helpful, and we look forward to seeing you guys back. Appreciate you taking the time tonight. Thanks for your patience and waiting for such, since we were had everybody ahead of you.
Well, that's it for comments. Well, that's great. I appreciate your taking the time to listen to us, and look forward to the next time we present.
Well, you know, two of the people that would have been grilling you over the coals have excused themselves. So, you know, that's why it was so easy.
I have one last quick question, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Sure.
Andrew, have you done another one in the area that I could go look at, or is there another field like this somewhere nearby?
There's the brand new field at Ashley Field in Sun Prairie.
Okay.
That we just did. That's brand new. We're in the process of doing a couple of them at the new Sun Prairie High School.
Okay.
We haven't done any others in the Madison area, although we've done a few in the outlying areas. And if you want, I can provide you with a list.
Sun Prairie is great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we will move to number 7, reports of staff and commission members. Staff report regarding status of development project proposals. Economic development update. Doug.
Thank you. So this is a new item, but I wanted to call it out specifically based upon a few of the conversations we had late last year. And at the request of both Chair Moore and Mayor O'Connor, both myself and City Administrator Gatto will be giving an economic development presentation to the Plan Commission. Date is still to be determined based upon applications. We want to make sure that the meeting is of the right length, such that we're not coming on at maybe 9 o'clock or something like that in the evening, but to be determined. We had tentatively put it for the 25th of January, but that'll be sort of finalized. But we really want to touch upon the discussion, both of the role of the Plan Commission, how economic development takes place within the city, some of the conversations and roles that both myself and City Administrator Gatto take on that, but also the involvement of the CDA, potential partnerships between Plan Commission and CDA. So we really hope, firstly, that it'll be informative, but that it'll be a great opportunity for discussion, for questions to be answered. It's not going to be a long presentation, but we really just want to have that dialogue and open it up. It really seems that the momentum was building at the end of last year, and we feel it's a good time to have that conversation.
Thank you. Any other potential upcoming plan items you want to share?
Yes. So we have a few from this evening that will be moving forward. I know both WPS and the school district are keen to keep these moving. So maybe not the next meeting, but probably the first in February, I would imagine. They will be heard. We do have a zoning permit application that is coming forward. It's for another new retail store opening. So that will be on the docket for the 25th. And there's a couple other zoning permit items that are moving forward as well. So plenty still going on and lots of interest. Good news, business openings, business interest, and things like that. So good to hear, even with the challenging times. And I think we'll keep having pretty loaded agendas here for a while.
Great. So with that, I want to. Do you guys have any requests for information from Doug? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I had, so just as I was looking back through the comprehensive plan, one of the objectives stood out to me, or one of the policies associated with an objective stood out to me. And then it came up again today, just in discussing the market analysis for the area. And I'm just curious if it's on page 612 of the comprehensive plan, it's objective 6.3.2, and the policy is to update the 2006 strategic plan for economic development and the 2010 Beer market analysis. So I guess just in consideration of the upcoming economic development update, if that could be addressed, or just the status of that and how that's used and what the plan is for that I would be interested in hearing more about that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Any other requests for information? So before I ask for an adjournment, I just want to thank everybody. I don't know, where are we on the, Rob, were you close on the over under?
Yeah, I won. I won.
No.
It's fine. You're cutting out, Chris. Chris, you're cutting out.
Video recording. We can play it back.
I don't understand what he's saying.
He's on mute.
Right. No, I just want to, I want to thank everybody, because I know, particularly our first applicant, it's just, I know it's going to be a hard decision and there's lots to think about, right? So please do take time in the next couple of weeks, get your questions answered. If you think of anything, we don't want to hold up Greg or his team, through multiple meetings. And so, let's please work in the next couple of weeks to get our questions answered and think about where we want to go with it, what questions we need answered. And if you have anything that comes up, please reach out to Doug, or to myself, or to, to ask those questions. And if we don't know, you know, as I like to say, if I don't know the answer, which of course I don't a lot of the times, I'm really good at finding the answers. So finding the right people to find the answers. So so let's do that, and we'll just again just really appreciate the thoughtfulness tonight. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move adjournment.
Second. Josh, we have a second with Josh. And so all those in favor say aye.
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 Great. Thanks very much. Everybody stay safe, stay sane. I would, it's gonna be between now and the next time we meet. I know there's gonna be a lot of more probably ugly things going on. You know, they're talking about protests at every state capitol. So now on the 17th and on Inauguration Day. So everybody just stay safe and stay healthy. And if we don't see you before the 25th, we'll see you on the 25th. And thanks again.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.